Hey guys, hope your day is going well. So today we'll be looking at making a to-do API for this to-do application that you see here. It's going to be a two-part video. I'm going to start with the backend first, show you how I write the backend, and then go into making the front-end application you see here, right? So we're going to make an app like this, and I'm going to show you how it works. We're going to start with the backend, and if you haven't downloaded Node.js, you should download this one here, the one recommended for your computer. Well, I said Node.js, Node, so you can have access to npm and access to TypeScript, and also other packages too, like create React app. So now let's start by doing this. So if you haven't installed TypeScript, so this is what you type in. So you do npm I global, then you type in TypeScript, enter. I already have mine installed already, so it doesn't really matter. So the next thing I'm going to do now is let me create our server, right? So I'll do server dot no, dot ts, right? So that's it right there. So I'll just say console dot log, you know, server. If I save this and I do stc, then I go that, sorry, tsc. So that's how you compile your TypeScript file, and it converts it. It's right here at the top to a JavaScript file. And if you want to run that, you just do node server js. I can see it says server. Okay, so let's actually delete that. Move to recycling. So I'm just going to do now is I'm going to download the config file for TypeScript, right? tsconfig right here. Now we're going to make some changes. Let me look at my notes. Okay. So first thing I'm going to look for the roots. dir, that one there. I'm just going to make that the source folder. No, Control Z and comment that out. Then do source. Then I'm going to create a source folder here and put this one in there. Yes, move. So then the next thing I'm going to do is let me see, the output directory. This one here. Then go there. No. Then this is going to be our destination. Right? Then I'm going to make no in the out here. Lists. Okay, so I think what's the next one? Because we're going to be using Node, we need to uncomment this one up here. Mode resolution. So I think we're good for now. I can try compiling because I want to see if this server.txt in source folder would be compiled into the output. So what I did here was that this said the output directory for compiling your TypeScript in the root directory in the source. So anything that's compiled here would be turned into the JavaScript in the destination folder. So I'll just do that now and see. Okay, I compiled that. Found one error. What's the error? So it just tst not found. Okay, it should be in my source. cls tsc. Then then you come down here. Oh no, that's wrong. Hold on. Go through recycling bin. No, come out. I think I just do TSC like this, and it compiles everything. Yes. So you should run your TSC command in the parent directory. Then you open your destination folder, you see it here, right? So anything you compile, and if you do TSC here in the parent directory, it would compile everything in the source folder. Yes. Okay. So now let's install npm. So I'll do npm in it. To do API, yes. Version, description, to do, I'll just say to do backend. Entry point should be server.ts. Oh, spelled that wrong. Okay, doesn't matter. Keywords, auto is Victor. New today. License. Okay. So this is our package JSON right here. Right? I don't think that matters too much. So now what I'm going to do is install some dev dependencies. So I'm going to do npm I dash capital letter D. That's for dependencies. That's a shortcut for save as dependencies, dev dependencies. Then we're going to start writing. So I'll do TS node, TypeScript node. Then we're also going to download NodeMon. NodeMon is to help run your server live. So anytime you save it, it restarts on its own automatically. Then I'm going to download some or install some node types, right? And another one, I'm going to download some express types. Okay, so I press enter. It's going to install all of those. Okay, now CLS. So as you can see that all here. What else do we need to do? So we should go down here. We can leave test. So let's just do when I do npm start, I want it to go to the destination folder and run server.js, right? Then when I go into when I type in npm run dev, oh my, it's going to say NodeMon, right? So I'm running this. When I do npm run dev, it runs NodeMon and it goes into the source folder and runs our server, our TypeScript server. Yeah. Then when I run build, right, this would compile everything in our source folder, right, CSD, and put them in the destination folder, right? Let's save that. No, that doesn't need that there. Okay, let's save it. That looks good to me. So let's do CLS. Okay, let's write some code here. So let's do first thing I'm going to do is install imports express from express. Okay. Then we're going to also do create the app for express and say express like that. Save it. I'm going to run it on port. Let's try 5001. right? And then we're going to see how this works. So let's do app.listen, right? So it's going to be on ports, on that port, and then it's going to be a callback function that console.log this message. So the message is going to be, no, let's do this. Listening, listening on port this port right here. Okay, we save that, and then let's do a cd into our source folder, and then do npm run dev. Okay, app crash while waiting for, what's our issue here? Cannot find module express. Didn't we? Okay, we just installed the types for express. So let's go back here. Let's actually cancel this one and go back here and do npm install express. Then let's go back to the other terminal, clear it, run dev again. Yeah, as you can see, it says listening on port 5001. That's good. Okay, now let's make this more, let's add more to this. So one of the things is that you want to make sure that you start, when you start your server, it listens, right? So it's going to make a function called start. So it puts this in a try catch block. So I'm going to try and listen and see if that works. So if I do this, well, I'll type it again. I can just do Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, get cancel that there. Save this. No, not yet. We need to also just say console.log, right? Just logs the error, right? So then we start. Okay, save that. Saves. It says enter my save. It keeps refreshing, right? Okay, so let's start some apps. Writing some apps or writing some functionalities. So we're just going to be doing this simple CRUD steps, meaning like create, read, update, delete, right? So we're going to start with reading it, right? So getting the app or getting our list, right? So I'm going to make a get function here. So we're going to run it on list, on the path list. So we're going to say async. We're going to say a request response, and then we're going to say, when you call this, just console.log. That's what I did. Console.log. Let's just say hello, right? So what's happening here? Oh, I typed async wrong. Right? So we save that and let's test it. So I'm going to open Thunder Client. In my last video where I showed how to set up your backend for TypeScript, I showed you how to get Thunder Client. If you want to know how to do that again, you just have to go to extensions, just type in here, see it on the clients right there, and then install it. It's like having Postman on your Visual Studio Code. So for now, let's go to the environment. This is set up for, let's see, let's add a new collection here. I'm going to call it Todo API. So in that, I'm going to do a new request. The request is going to be a get, right? So the URL, let's go to the environment, right? That's the global environment. I want to add more to the environment. So I'm going to do, maybe I'll do URL2, right? Because this is set up for the app I built. This one here, right? So I don't want to change anything, so I'll just add to it. So what I'm doing here is, you guys understand more. So I'm just making a global variable called URL2 that would represent by localhost 5001. Sorry. Right. So let's save that. Save successfully. Go back to collections. Go back to this. So we'll now do this. So this is how I access it. You have to put a nested curly brackets and just do URL and type in 2, right? I do URL2 and I do list, right? As a get, send it. We should get hello world. Hopefully there are no errors. Let's see what's happening. Oh, it comes to the log. It's right here. Hello. Okay, so I'm supposed to send. Let's go back to our app. I'm supposed to send this as a response. Oh, console log. So we'll do res send hello. Right? We save that. Then we go back here again, send it. See right there. Hello. Okay, so I want our app to use to communicate with the backend and the front end using JSON, right? So I am here. Okay, so this is how I use it, or I would use it. Let's go back to the top. Okay, bring this down. I'll just say app the use. So this is like a middleware where it checks every response between the server and the client, and it's saying that it can use JSON. So I can do respond JSON like that. Then come back here and then do it send. Well, it's a JSON file. You see how it changed from a text to this. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's remove this one. So what is going to be our, so the next thing we're supposed to do actually is make our database. So for our database, we're going to be using a JSON file. So a JSON file is, let's read and write to the file. So let me see here. I'm going to put it in the source. I'm going to put this, call this database, right? Database. Then I'm going to put this as database.json, right? So this is how it's going to be. I'm going to have a list. No, yeah, a list, right? And this list is going to contain, Control Z, an array of objects, right? And objects are going to build a list. So let's say I do, they're going to contain an ID, right? And the ID will just say 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to do to do. And then it's going to say, let's say walk my dog. Right, save that. Then let's go back here to our server. Right, so let's create our database variable. So it's just be the file path to the database right there. So it's going to be dot src dot database, then slash database dot json. Right, let's save that, and then let's see if that would work. So I'm going to be reading from the file, right? So I'm going to import. Let's actually install. I think I installed it. CLS. So I'm going to install npm. I think the fs is already in I think it's already part of JavaScript. The reading and writing files. So I'm going to do this from fs. Yes, it's already there. I need to install it. So I'm going to do, because it's inbuilt with JavaScript. So promises as fs, right? Save that. So I'm going to now do this. So let's read from the file. So I'm just going to say const data. I'm going to do 108. Then I'm going to do fs.read file database. Right. Then we're going to now, let's see. I think I can just send that. Let's see if I can just send it without parsing it. Can I? I should be. Let's save it and let's go to get here and just send it. Oh, yeah, I need to change it to I need to parse that data. What you're seeing there is let me go back here. So this is of type buffer, right? As in, yeah. So I'm going to just do const, let's say parse data, and I'm going to say JSON dot parse. So I'm going to parse this one here, data, say to string. So we're converting our data to a string and then passing it with JSON. So it becomes a JavaScript object. And then we're going to now send that data. Let's go back to our get. Let's do it again. Boom. Says exactly what is in our database here. Right? Okay, now that we're done with the database setting up the server, so let's start with now doing some functionalities, right? So let's remove this one here. Don't need that. So, okay, this we're going to create two helper functions, right? Async functions are going to be for reading the list, right? So called a read list or read database actually. So read database, then we should have what we have here. So what it does is it returns the parse. So copy and paste this one here. So let me see if I'm doing the right thing. Yes, I am. So what's going to return? It's going to return parse data. Right? No, Control Z of that. Yes. Right. So the next one is going to write to database. Right? Write to database. I think I prefer just saying read DB and write DB. That should be better. right? Save. And is it taking any parameters? Oh yeah, it should. It will take a parameter. Okay, yes. So fs. So it's going to write to the database. So this is when we're updating the database, right? So we're database. They will now say JSON, then stringify. So this is going to be a JavaScript object. So I'm going to turn this to, I'll type in data. Type is going to be of a data type, right? So I'm going to make that type right now. So I'm going to say stringify, let me see, data, right? So that's the JavaScript object. It's going to turn the JavaScript object into a JSON string so that I can write it into our database here. Where is it? Here, right? So I'm going to actually just remove this. I'm going to make this an empty list or array. Let's go down here. So data is not defined. Let's define our types. So I want to define them way over here. Let's say before everything else. So my type, or the first I want to actually make, or is the lists interface, right? So what is going to be in our list, or what's our list contain? What's our data? So our database is going to contain a list, right? And in that list is going to be a string and to do, right? To do is also a string, right? So then I'm going to have our type data, right? And it's going to now be lists of type lists, right? So it's going to be an array of lists. This list up here. So it's going to be an array of list objects, right? So let's go down here. See, it works now. So let's also, because I imported some types from Express, let's import response on request, right? So that, you know, can look fancy. Here's the response, no request. Then it's going to be response. Okay, save that. So what else do we need again? Let me see, is my audio good? Yes, it's good. Okay, so let's see here. Data and it. So this is going to go. So the first thing we did was to, let's try and see if whether we can use our helper functions, right? So I'm going to just do const. It's going to say data. I'm going to now do, oh wait, I'm going to do read db, and in reading the database, sorry, yes, save that. Then we're going to now do const. We're going to destructure the list out of data, right? And then we're going to send that. So JSON can have our status, right? So status, so when this works, 200, right? Then we're going to now say send the list, right? So let's erase that. And let's put all of this in a try catch block. Control Z. So try catch. It's going to try to read the file. If it doesn't, it's going to send an error. Here. Let's do this. And then we're going to now say console.log error. Right? So just to see what error is. So that's our get. Save that. Let's test it and see if it works. Yeah, it gives me an empty string right there. So let's keep going. As my server. So this is our get. Our get is good for now. Then the next thing is to do our posts, right? So our post is going to be on that list, right? And then we'll say async. Yeah, async function error. Then we're going to do requests. Then it's going to be of type requests. Then response. Oh no. Okay, so I'm going to download this. Let's go back here. I'm going to download something called UUID. It's to help us generate IDs automatically instead of writing it as 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to do npm I UUID and also types UUID. Okay, that looks good. Let's make sure it is installed. It's right here. Okay, let's go back to seller, right? Then we go up to the very top, say import. Let's see, how did I do it before? Yeah, so I'm going to say v4 as UUID v4 from UUID, right? Save that. So while we're using this in the post. So every time it creates a new to do, it generates a unique ID. Okay, so we're going to get our to do from the body, right? Known as const to do, right? Then we're going to say it's going from the request body, right? And then wrap this now, try catch, of course. I'm going to try and paste it. So saying let data be await read db, erase the database, then read the structure or list from the database. Right, hold on. Then we're going to say data, right? Save that. I'm going to have another variable called item, right? Let me see. Is that a good variable name? So I'll say add item or add to do. I'll call it add to do actually. Add to do, right? Then we're going to now to do's, of course, of type list, right? Then we're going to now define to do. To do is going to be ID. So the ID now we're going to call the UUID, right? V4. We're going to call that. So it's going to generate a unique string ID. Then we're going to do. To do is going to be to do from the body at the top over there, right? So then when that is done, we're going to now do list. We're going to push this. We're going to push this add to do, right? Then when we push it, we're going to now write the updated data, right? Write it back to the database. So which is data, right? Then the next thing we're going to do, a response. So give it a status, just give it 200, which was good. Then say JSON data. It sends data. No, it sends the list actually. We don't need the data. This, yeah, lists. Okay, we're going to say I don't want this to be console.log. I want this to be a response.us for. Then I'm going to say JSON error, right? Save that. Let's remove this one here. Let's come down here. Let's actually copy and paste that. Right, save those. I'll save that, yeah, okay. Then let's see if this works, right? So everything looks good. So we take our to do here, right, from the body. Then we are going to read the database, get our list, then create a new to do, right, with the this new ID, Control Z, with this ID here, and we now add this to do to this to do variable in this list object. Then we add our list object into our list. List should not be of type any, it should be of type lists because I didn't say this was data. Right? Save that. Now this is of type list. Can you see? It changed. It was any. If you go back up here to be any. Well, that's wrong. It's supposed to be data. So now it's of type list. Okay, good. So let's see. I think everything was good. So now I'm going to go back to our Thunder client. We're going to create a new request. I'm going to call this delete. All right. Oh, that's wrong. Why that's spelled like that? Let's see. Rename the. I'm sorry you can't see it at the top. But it shouldn't be a get, should be a delete. Right there. Alright. So we're going to do delete. Why am I saying delete? Sorry. Supposed to be a post. Rename this to a post. I said delete. Because that was the last functionality I was working on. I was working on the delete all functionality for the full stack. For the Todo app. For the front end and back end. So, but we're not going to work on I'm working on the delete all. We're not going to work on delete all here. We're going to work on that when we're doing the front end. So this is the post, and our URL is supposed to be URL2, right? Because the post, we're going to do it at lists, right? And okay, let's go to our body here. Let's go here, and then we're going to have. We'll send it in JSON. So where's JSON? JSON, yeah, right there, the first one. So I'm gonna say, hold on, erase that. To do, right? To do, let's say same thing was said. Walk dog, right? Now let's send that. Boom. See it right there. So this is our list, and this is our it's our list with the ID and walk dog, right? And then let's go to our get and see if we can still have that, if that was written into the database. So we'll do get our list, and then you can see it's there, right? So our post works fine. So let's keep going. The next thing, so I've done the read part of our CRUD application. So I read it by doing a get. Now we have created by doing a post. Then the next thing is to do is to update it, right? So most people use put, but I'm going to use patch because patch is, let me see my notes so I can be accurate. The difference between two of them is I know like put kind of replaces all the item, like retrieves all the item and replaces all of them. Then patch just retrieves exactly what you need to update and updates it. Yeah, that's it. I didn't open my notes. Yeah. Okay, so just the patch. Then I'm going to say list. Now I'm going to do like this. List. Then I'm going to do ID. Then I'm going to do a sync function arrow. No, yeah. And then it's going to be, requests, response. I'll do response. Then I'm going to do requests. So let's come down here. I'm going to save this. Then now what do we need? So we're going to need the ID, of course, where you would like to do the updates, right? Parameter, right? And then we're going to now do to do. To do is the edit. I can say edit head to do, right? Edit to do, like what you just imputed to edit. So this comes from the body. No, Control Z body. Right, save that, and then we're going to do a try catch, of course. Then now try, we're going to do the same thing, get the data, read the data. Oh, wait. Read, no. Read DB, Control Z, dots, okay. Read database. There, of course, we get our list from the database. And then we are going to do this. So I'm going to use list is equals to list dot map. So we're going to create, no, not create. We're going to map through all the items, or all the item in the list, or should I say all the to dos? That's better. To do, right? Then it's going to get the to do ID, right? And then we're going to say ID equals to this ID. So make sure that's equals to the ID that is passing the parameter. And then we're going to now add that ID, excuse me, to do. And then if we don't find the ID, or if you know, we choose not to update it, we're just going to replace it with what was already there, right? So this is it. What's happening here? Is any, oh, that's because I didn't say data. Now we're good. What happens here? It's not it's unable to type string. List is not assignable to type string. Hold up. Okay, I think it's because if to do is not supposed to be to do, it's supposed to be edited to do. That should work. But where's the string coming from? So this to do is declared here. Then what's the problem? Still saying to do is declared here. I was saying this to do is the missing type in edited to do. Okay, so this, right, is the issue because of it's supposed to be. I'll leave it as to do here. Leave this as to do, and let's see, change this as to do, so it's consistent with the interface we made. So it's not accessing. So I'll change this to item. Right, change this to item. Change this to item. And we're good. Okay, save that. So yeah, the naming here has to be consistent to your type, right? The interface type list, right? So this is, why is it to do any? This is any, that's why. Okay, doesn't matter. I can say this should be a string, right? But then it has to be any, because it gets it from the body, right? Okay, so we're good with this. Let's test it. Okay, let's go back here, right? So to do API, create a new request, right? Then we just type this as patch, and let's call it update, right? Then I'm just gonna say patch here, right? What did we use? We used the ID. Let's go back to our gets here. Let's use this ID. Let's change this to something else. Let's do it. Go here. I'm gonna say URL. Oh, this is in here. Let me cancel this out. URL2, right? Then I'm going to now say list, this ID, the one here, right? So from the body, we're going to now do this to do, right? And we're going to now say, let's change that to like, it says walk dog. You can say walked dog, or change something like go to markets, right? Then when that is done, what did I send back? Oh yes, I didn't even finish. Okay, so we're gonna go here and then say the response. So after it's done that, it's supposed to, I'm gonna do this data the list, right? We're going to change that list, update that list data, right? And then I'm going to do an await. I'm going to do write to the database. I'm going to write data to change the updates. Then I'm going to now do response status. And is going to be, so we're sending the list back, right? Or was updated, right? And then in our catch, it's going to be an error. And then we're going to now say response is going to be status for then I'm going to say JSON is send the error, right? Okay, patch should work now. So let's go back to update, go here, send it, boom, it's right there. So let's go to our get. So let's see if this changes. Successfully changed, right? Go to market. Now the last one is delete, right? Let's go back to our server here. So we're going to do delete, and we're going to say list. So on this route list ID, right? And then we're going to say async function arrow. I'm going to do a request. Going to do a response, and then I'm going to say, what am I doing? I'm saying request as a response, request as request, then response as response. Okay, then so we're going to do get the ID from the parameters, right? Request params, and then what we're going to do now, we're going to do our try catch block. Now I want to make sure this is complete. Try catch, yes, thank you. And then I'm going to obviously read the data, of course. Await read DB. And then I'm going to just get the list from the database, right? The list array. And then we're going to do what next? We're now going to delete the items. So now when you use dot filter, right, all it does is create like a new array with the condition that when you go through all the items, you want to copy everything that is not equals to this ID. And that's how you get it deleted, right? And why is item a problem? Because of the type, I'm guessing. Data, right? So we're good. Okay. Do I have to keep writing data there? Hold on, give me a second. When it returns it, the return type should already be data right here. So let's go back here. The return type should be like this, data. Oh, it's no, that's the wrong one. It's not that. That's it. Return type is a buffer, so it should be the one below here, right? And then I do not need to keep writing data everywhere. Here too, right? Here too, because the return type is already data, right? See, data and also list. I don't need to keep writing that. Save everything. So then, yeah. So we successfully deleted. Yes, but we need to copy that back into the database. So it's update the list in the data. Right, we've done that here. Then we're going to write it back to the database so that we update the update is made permanent. And then the next thing I'm going to do is going to do, rest status 202, no 202, 200 JSON. The list that shows now the updated list, right? Save that, then response status. You don't have to keep writing all the statuses. I just do that for fun. Because when you do like a request, it's would know if it's a 200 or 404 error or 200 success. So I'm just gonna do error. Right, everything looks good. Okay, let's go here and create a new request. Call it delete now. Unlike before, I was jumping ahead of myself. Then delete, right? Then delete. I want to make more, so I can do walk dog again. Just send this, right? You can do like, let's say finish, no, finish homework, right? Send that. We have a couple of them. I can go back here and see if everything was added. Yeah, it was. I'm going to get to do that. Then I'll go to delete. So I'll take, let's delete, let's say walk the dog, because we just finished doing that. So we'll just go here, then we'll type in the URL to, right, call this list, right, then the ID is this one. So I want to delete this, right, then send it. As you can see, walk dog is done. To make sure this works, go to our get, see walk dog is there, so let's press send. Now it's gone, right? So we can even open our database. Let's go down here. Let's say right there. Let's do Shift Alt F. Yeah, as you can see. So now we're going to go into like creating routers so that we can take the load off our app right here. Because everything is just on the server, right? In the server folder. So we need to make this a bit neater. Okay. Okay, so now let's go to our source folder. Let's create a folder called routes. Right. Let's create another folder called controllers. Controllers are like the functions that are right here. The CRUD functions, the get, post. Well, no, well, not that. It's the function inside that does this. So the one that does the getting, the one that does the post, right? We'll put them in the controller. So I think we should start with that first, right? So let's go into our controller here. Create a new file. Let's call it todo.ts, right? Then give me a second. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have this side by side with the server. So let's remove this. That's been in the way. Okay, where is this? I'm going to do a split screen. So this here, server is going to be on this side. So everything that we don't need, so we can just take in this one here, paste that. I don't think I'll need to use Express. This one, so promises, basically everything here, right? Then we're just going to take the types here. I don't want to break the the application. So I'll put this in there. Then what am I putting in here? I'm going to put this helper functions, reading and writing functions here, right? It also needs database from here. So we should be up here. Then come down to, okay, now let's see. So this one here would be a function called get list, right? No, it's gonna be like this and like this, like this. Yeah. Then everything in here will be in here, and this is going to be this one here. Oh, got the A. Right. Yeah, looks right to me. The next one is gonna be, get. I'm gonna call this const create to do. Then you're going to be this one here. Right, and everything in here. No, plus this one here. Okay, we're doing good. So the last one is going to be, no, the last one actually is the updates, right? So we're going to say updates, call the update to do. All right, or update list. Let's call it update list, right? So it's going to be this one here, right? And then it's going to be everything else in here, right? Then the next step is what else? Now the last step actually, which is delete to do, right? So we're deleting the to do. Come here, Ctrl Z equals to Ctrl V. Forgot to wait. Yeah, I did that by accident. Okay, and then Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and that's everything that we need to have in our controller. Controller meaning like this is where all the controls for our application would be in, right? So delete to do, update the list, create to do, get list, right? Then we're going to now export them. We're going to say module dot export. So we're going to export get lists. We're going to export create to do. We're going to export update lists. We're going to export delete to do. Save that. Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Yes, we're good for now. So let's go now to the routes folder, right? So to do looks good. Let's go to the routes, and then we're going to call this. Let's call it to.ts. New file. We can call this routes.ts, right? Save that. Oof, what just happened? Okay, so I'm going to do import router from Express. Thank you. Then what am I going to do now? I'm going to do const router. I'm going to make a variable called router. Then the router is going to be routing all these functions from the controller. So I'm just going to actually just go here and just copy and paste it. No, I don't want to type too much. Okay. Then it's going to be equals to require. What's it requiring? It's going to require it from routes, right? So it's from controllers. So where's the controller? I'm supposed to access it. Routes and controller should be in the same place. Oh, it's in database. Oh my god. This is supposed to be in source folder. Yes, move to source. Thank you. Not database. Okay, let's go to routes. Let's go here. This is now in source controller. Yeah. Then when I do this, I see it now. Yeah, over there. Then I'll do. No, I call them. I call them to do. No, to do, right? I call them to do. Yeah, to do. Right. Then save it. Then I'm going to now do this. Our routes up. So on this route, right, on the home routes, all we're going to be doing is just getting. So it's going to we're going to use get. We're also going to do a post, right? Then we're going to assign the functions that are going to use them. So get this is going to use get, and create to do is going to use posts. Then the other route we have is the one where we need the ID, right? So I'm going to say ID, and patch uses that route. So patch is going to do update list. Then delete is going to be delete to do. Okay, save that. Then we're going to now do this. Module dot exports equals to router. It exports router, right? So now let's get back to this place, our server, right? So let's start removing some stuff. Or the first thing we're actually supposed to do is install our routes, right? Or import our routes. So I'll just say const routes is equals to require, or requiring from routes, exactly. Save that. So now we don't need any of these ones, right? Just erase it. I don't think we need this one's here, right? So we need, of course, express. We need the port, don't need the database. We don't need the types. We don't need everything here. So this is all we need, right? We need this. What else do we need? Oh yeah, we need to also add this, the router. We didn't use the router yet, so we need to add the router in the middleware. So any request would use any request on this route list, right, would use route. I can even call this to do. Let's call this to do. So that'll be the name of our routes, to do. Right. So now let's save it, and let's see if everything is going to work like they're supposed to. Went back to Thunder client. So let's go here and do a get. It works. Let's do a post. Say finished, or finish API. Right. Add that. It's added. Then you can update. Let's go back to this one here to get all of them. Okay. Let's probably add one more and call it finish API 2 or something. Send that. Go back to the get. No, work again. Okay, so let's go here. Control Z, let's update that one and just say something like finished API 2, right? Send that. So change from finished to finished, whatever. then because of we are finished with that, we can delete it, right? Control Z, go to delete, copy and paste the ID, delete the ID, send, right? So there's no more there. Go back to get, see if that actually worked. Yep. So that's everything you need to know about using TypeScript and Node.js with Express to write a simple CRUD application, right? And our application is a to-do list app where we just send a string of what we're doing, and then it stores it with an ID. And yeah, the next steps now is to create the front end, right? And create the functionalities, right? Like you can edit this, edit, you can delete, stuff like that. And you can add second test, add, boom. You can add more stuff to this. So let me know how you feel with this lesson. Let me know if you understood it. Any questions, you can let me know in the comments. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.